The problem with South African drivers is that while we can stop and test and check vehicles and check people's sobriety, it's very difficult to check people's behavior. And according to Derek, he says the number one issue with South Africans is the obsession with driving while still being on their phone. I remember that quite some time now, the city of Cape Town introduced bylaws allowing traffic officers to impound a motorist's cell phone. And I've seen that very often with a traffic cop walking to the back of their vehicle, coming back with what looks like a little white box. And the very, very sheepish or shy motorist then has to put that phone in that box, and that gets impounded, taken to a facility. And if you want that back, first you have to, I think, pay the fine and then also pay a release fee. JP Smith, Mako member for safety and security. How many phones has the city impounded, say, over the last few years? JP, good morning.
Lester, good morning. Under the new iteration of the traffic bylaw, which has now been in place for a little bit, we've impounded 1,844, but the impoundment provision existed in the bylaw before that. So totally since the start of the bylaw, since the start of cell phone impoundments, we're sitting on 32,046 phones.
32,000 phones that have been impounded. How many of those errant motorists actually come and present themselves and say sheepishly, actually, could I have my phone back? Please, I'll pay whatever fine the city imposes on me.
No, I'm afraid I've expressed myself poorly. We have 32,000 phones that are unclaimed.
32,000 phones unclaimed?
Unclaimed. We have many, many, many more impoundments than that.
We have rich Cape Townians, JP, who don't want the expensive smartphones back.
Yes, it's your level of affluence where you can afford to dump your new iPhone and get a new one. We did suspect that some people were then reporting the phones stolen, and we were contacted by one of the insurance companies, so we are distributing. We requested the numbers, the IMEI numbers of those phones to the insurers, so that they can see if the phone has been found at the pound rather than as may have been falsely claimed, stolen in a smash and grab or otherwise, because that would also misrepresent the police stats and, of course, is fraud. So you had indicated that you were interested in knowing that. That's something that dawned on us pretty quickly, also as a result of a particular incident where it was suggested that there was a smash and grab, and the camera was clearly pointing in that area at the time, and we saw that there was no smash and grab. So I don't think it's a surprise to people that some people will misrepresent such claims. But 32,000 phones unclaimed, and the intention is to clear the data on them. The new bylaw provision now permits us to donate the phones, which the old bylaw didn't do. And we hung on to the phones because we didn't want to destroy them. It seemed wasteful. So because the motorist takes the SIM card and the SD card out, once we've done a hard reset, there will be no data, personalized data left on the phone. And so for those phones worthwhile salvaging or donating, we will clear them and donate them to charity organizations or neighborhood watches or otherwise.
I'm happy it's being donated, because then there could be accusations against the city or confiscating phones for profit motives to go into the city's coffers, JP.
Well, if we made money out of it, I would make sure that the money was donated to somebody, to some road accident fund or some hospital who treats the victims of accidents. Because let's not forget that at the moment, the prevalence of accidents as a consequence of driving while distracted or texting or otherwise is more significant than drunk driving. And that's why we do take serious action and try and be as effective in our interventions. Fines do not deter people, but the impoundment is certainly more effective.
So do you pay a fine and then an impoundment release fee as if your vehicle were to be you pay a fine for the transgression and then a fine to release your phone from the city's vault?
Yes, sir. There is an impoundment release fee of 1,200, I think, at the moment it is, and because it costs us to have the safekeeping arrangements in place, to buy the safekeeping box, to buy the seals, to have staff on standby to do the processing, and the goal with impoundments is always for them to be self-recovering. Other people should not be having to subsidize that activity. And then, of course, the fine in the National Act is 1,500, because the National Act also prohibits you driving with your phone. It just doesn't provide for an impoundment provision. So we enact the National Road Traffic Act and then the provision in the bylaw that says that we may impound the phone, in the hope that it offers a more meaningful deterrent and that we are saving lives. And if you look at the statistics, it suggests that something is working. It may be better quality roads. It may be slightly better behaved driver. It may be the fact that we recover higher rates of fines and therefore hold scofflaws accountable and therefore have better conduct on our roads, maybe. Or it may be less distracted driving. But the consequence is that over the last 10, 12 years, we have seen our road fatality figures stabilize or reduce, whilst elsewhere in South Africa, they have continued to climb. And, I mean, I don't know if you know the stats, but they're pretty horrible. If you look at the countries who do it well, they have about 3 deaths per 100,000 on their road as a result of road accidents.
JP, what is the
13,
legislation?
Nigeria has 9. South Africa has 27 deaths per 100,000.
JP, running out of time, but in terms of the letter of the law, what does the letter of the law say about you being a motorist in a vehicle that is turned on and the proximity of your phone? Just to the letter of the law. Of course, you're not allowed to touch
touching your phone
at all. Not checking.
Your phone mustn't be lying on your lap. It mustn't be. You mustn't be holding it. Now, the officers are not draconian about it. They also don't have the time to pursue everybody, and they also don't see a phone that has been discreetly used. But when your phone is tucked under your ear or held in front of your face for you to speak over the speakerphone, or the person who has 2 knees under the steering wheel and is texting. I've been in an enforcement vehicle where we've driven next to a person who is so distracted from texting that us being half a meter away, looking at from one window to another, they can't see us. That's distracted. And so in those cases, impound.
Quick question from a listener. Ask JP if I can submit video footage to law enforcement as proof of drivers texting while driving. I have dash cam footage.
No, sadly not. I wish that could be. Johannesburg and us, we talked about it, about doing that. Johannesburg test drove it. Michael Soon, when he was the MACO member there, piloted it. The National Prosecuting Authority requires the authorized official to see it. Otherwise, the person sending the footage must be willing to appear in court, and just about nobody is.
JP Smith, MACO member for safety, 32,000 unclaimed phones. Also, pretty stiff penalties, fines, and an impound fee. Lester, no wonder people leave their phones at the pound. It's cheaper simply just to replace it.